This is the third part of making the garden journal that we're working on with the vintage botanical digitals from Polka Art Studio, and that's a shop on Etsy. So this is the last part of this series in which we're making this journal, and we've already done the covers and the binding and the closure and the embellishment on the front. So if you missed that first video, that's what we did in that video, then you could go back and watch that. And then in the second video, we put this front pocket on and the back pocket on and just did all the different steps that go into doing that. And then in this video, we're going to put some tucks in here and make a tag and then some of the hidden paper clips. So if that's something that you don't know how to do, you might want to watch through this video, and we'll be making a couple of those so you can see the steps involved in that. So in this case, I am taking out another template, and I just, like in the second video, we talked about the template for the pockets, and what I do is I just make some pockets and then I just keep modifying it until I'm happy with it, and then I make an actual template out of it. So I'm tracing this template shape onto some book page, and this is, I think, from Persuasion. So it's just, I bought books from Barnes & Noble that like are my favorite books. So Pride and Prejudice, Persuasion, and Jane Eyre. And then those are just the books that I have that I can pull pages out of. So I feel like I have enough pages to last for a really long time, but that's just what I tend to pull. And that way, it's just something that I really like. And, you know, every time I see it, it just kind of makes me smile. So I do try to use this for the background. And that stamp that we use, that romantic script stamp, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the actual text of it is from Pride and Prejudice. So I do think that's also pretty nice. So here I'm just cutting this shape out of this book page, and I wanted to leave like the page number and the book name. I think that's kind of cool. And now this other part of the book page, I'll put that away and probably use it for something else down the road. So I could have probably cut some coffee dyed paper and then just put this on top of that, so do like a layered thing. But in this case, I'm just cutting this out of book page, and this is just a tuck spot, so we'll just be gluing it on one side, and that way you can just kind of tuck papers under there. So not as secure as a pocket, but it is pretty helpful if you have anything larger that you just need to tuck into a journal. So I'm going ahead and inking around the edge of this, like we've been inking around everything else. And then when you do a tuck spot, you just glue one side of it, and that way, you know, it's just kind of there, and things won't, you know, fall out as easily. And I do like to put these kind of opposite pockets as well, because then if, you know, anything would fall out of a pocket, maybe it would land under this tuck spot. So I do think that's kind of nice to do. So I'm trying to find a nice flower in these different digitals that I could just add to the top of this book page for an embellishment. So on this tuck spot, I also like the fact that it's like a whiter kind of a book page. I feel like that contrasts with everything else that's going on, so I do actually like that look. But I'm going to try to find something to add to this that, you know, would be a nice like freestanding kind of a flower. If I was brave, I could sketch something on this book page, but I'm definitely not that brave today, and I also think that there's a lot of beautiful flowers that I could just cut them out. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to take a complete flower out of here, and then I will cut around it, but I'm also trying to leave some of that background as well. I'm just trying to figure out what areas would look better, like really fussy cut, and then if there's any areas that I can leave that plain background. I think that would look nice on this book page. So I like doing that as well. I also like doing like stamping out paper and then cutting those stamped images out. And I might color them or paint them or whatever. I also like really stamping on coffee dyed paper as well. But then I will take those, little pieces of ephemera, and then I'll just kind of stash those away in the journal, and then bit by bit I'll be adding those to the journal as well. So I do like stamping like a brown or a gray on coffee dyed paper, and that way it's not so stark that it's like black and white, but it just has such a great vintage feel to it. And that's something that, you could buy that in the store, or you could buy it in scrapbook paper, but it's so nice to be able to make those things yourself. And then you could even add some paint to it too, to, even replicate like a flower like this, to make it look super vintage. But doing things, I find, like sketching on coffee dyed paper, or like if I do a lot of dark distress inks, I can go back and just like sketch over top of that. It's just such a great look. I really enjoy doing that. But I will generally have I use a lot of pencil boxes, and I'll have a lot of those types of things in a pencil box, and then I can just like rifle through it and find the kind of thing I'm looking for at the moment. And, then I have those things all ready to go. But it's such a great vintage look. I would say more like in the, everything's in like a sepia tone. It's really pretty way to design things. And then when you're doing like a vintage type thing, you'll have those things ready and you can just add them into your journals. So now I'm just gluing this one side of it, and that way you can, like let's say at a brochure or something, you can just stick that behind this tuck spot. And I'm just going to make sure that that's really well glued down along that entire side. And I also pulled it back a little bit from the edge so that you'll still see that gold paint on the edge. Okay, so now I'm taking out it's a stencil, it's a Tim Holtz stencil, the larger one, and obviously it's in a tag shape, so it's really nice to make tags out of these. And then his smaller stencils, then you have the smaller stencil shape, so I think it's really nice that they come like this. But I don't think I could get to all the way to the bottom of that stencil, but that's okay. If I can just get the top part of this shape, then that will be plenty, and I think it looks really nice. So I could go back and round those bottom corners, like wherever you decide to make that bottom line, you can always go back and round those corners, and then it looks like you've made a perfect tag. But in this case, I think I'll just leave it square. And then again, just trying to decide, like, do I leave these nice shading lines or do I cut them off? So just trying to do a combination of that, and then I'll go ahead and ink around that to kind of neaten it up. So I'm trying to fit this so that you see that side flower, so it kind of peeks out the side of this tuck spot. And I do feel like that makes a nice look for this front page. So I have a bag of tabs that I do from my dies. So I don't think I have any punches that are like tag punches. I wish I did, because I really like that, but I figure if I already have the dies, I might as well use it that way. So sometimes I will pull out, I have like an envelope of tabs, and you know how when you buy sometimes dies, they come with like a plastic, I'm going to call it an envelope because that's what it's like, but it's like a clear plastic sleeve. And then I put tabs from all the different sets that I have just in that original tab sleeve, and that way all of my tabs are in one place, which I really like. And then I will pull out my scrap. I have like a big, you know, you can get like those 2-gallon baggies. I put my scraps in there because it'll fit like a 12 by 12 sheet of scrapbook paper in those larger Ziploc bags. So then I have, I think I have 2 of those full of different scraps. So I will pull those out, and then my tab dies out, and then I'll just make a whole bunch of tabs and then just put them all in one spot. And then in this case, I could just go back and, you know, pull different things out that I think coordinate with this project. But I love using scraps on things because it just reminds me of like other projects I've done. And then when you have these little pieces of paper left and you can go back and use them on something else, I just really enjoy that. So I'm just inking around the edge of the tab and this tag. And again, these things are just printed on like 20-pound computer paper, or, you know, printer paper. So I know that a lot of people recommend that you do it on the, like a cardstock, or I should say a little bit heavier paper. Like a matte photo paper, and I have tried to do that, and I personally don't have luck with that, and it's just because I guess I'm missing like the skill set there. So until I figure that out, I just like to do it on computer paper. And honestly, I do everything on, I keep saying computer paper, but I mean printer paper. I pretty much print everything on printer paper. I just like to have thinner journals. That's just my personal preference. So this digital is printed on just regular printer paper, like cheap, you know, cheap printer paper that you can get by the ream. But I really like doing that a lot, because then whatever I'm doing, I can layer it and it won't get too thick. And as I said, I just like having more like smaller, thinner, flexible journals rather than like thicker pages. And again, that is just my personal preference. I'm not like recommending that or anything. But one thing that I do love is that these, like sometimes when you're looking at the digital kits, the colors will be like really vibrant, and then when you print them out, they're a little bit muted. But I do find like with this specific kit that it printed out really vibrant. So like I said, this is just regular cheapo paper, and I feel like it is so vibrant. So I find that like the different shops, like if one of them prints out really well, they all print out really well. And then I've had issues with some shops where it looks great on the screen, and then when I print it out, it's just more muted. So I'm sure I could go back and do something about that to figure it out. But I am always excited when I find shops that the colors just print out so bright and vibrant. I really love that. And I do have, my printer is like the Epson EcoTank, I think, printer. And I did get that so that I could print out digitals, because printing it out of my old printer just did not work at all. I would print out like, you know, 2 or 3 sheets, and then it would tell me I need new ink or whatever. So this, the EcoTank printer is just, I mean, I can just print and print. It's really wonderful. So, there are, I'm sure, videos on that type of printer, and I would recommend that you watch that if that's something that you're interested in. But like I put ink in, and it will last for months. And I print these types of digitals frequently. So it's just such a big change. It's almost like a completely different technology from my old printer, where I would have the printer cartridges, and in this you're actually just you're using ink bottles to fill the ink tanks, and it's just made a huge difference. And that way I can buy these digitals and print them out whenever I want, and I just don't even think twice about it as far as ink is concerned. So you can see I've taken a coffee dyed paper, and I have a stack of those next to me here because I'm using them for all different elements. But I just put that flower, like the floral area, just put it on top of a coffee dyed paper, because another good thing about coffee dyed paper is it's perfect on both sides. So I just glued it on to that piece of paper, and then then the back is perfect, so you don't have to worry about how it looks on the back. And I did cut this in such a way that I like that area at the bottom where the coffee dyeing is like really dark and like really distressed looking. So I wanted to let that part come through. So I'm really happy with this tag. I think it's really pretty. And I also left like a, I guess an 1/8 of an inch all the way around, so that you can still see that coffee dyed paper on the sides as well. Okay, so now I'm starting to work on hidden paper clips. So I'm going to make 2 of them for this journal, and they're both going to have tabs on them. And I think eventually I'll probably make more for the different sections in this journal. But for right now, I'm going to go through how to make a hidden paper clip, and I'm going to repeat myself a little bit just because I find it a little bit confusing. So I think if I kind of repeat the steps a few times, it might be helpful if someone's never made one of these before. So I just took a piece of paper and folded it like a scrap piece of paper, and just made sure that it was a bit larger than my actual paper clip. So the ones that I have here are probably like 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, and they are vinyl covered. And the only thing about that is this is just what I have, but these paper clips, I do like the size of them. If I could have ones that didn't have the vinyl, it would make it more low profile. So these do stick out a little bit, but I'm okay with it. But just so you know, if you're actually going to go buy some paper clips, you might want to just think about that, like maybe make one and just see if you want maybe a different type of paper clip. I do kind of like it larger though, because they're not like super easy to get onto your page, I wouldn't say. So the larger it is, I feel like the better that is. So initially we did like take a piece of paper, and the fold is at the top, and then the rest of it, the other 3 sides are open, and that way you have something to fit over the page. So then I've put the paper clip on top of that, and then I am taping it down to, in this case it's coffee dyed paper, but it doesn't matter, you can use anything for this, for the piece of paper. But what you definitely want is a fold on the top, and then the other sides, the other 3 sides have to be open. So I just made 2 of, this is like the inside part of a hidden paper clip. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a piece of paper to the front and then one to the back, and that way you won't see this paper clip. But I'm also planning to add tabs at the top. Otherwise I would do another piece of folded paper that would hide the top part of the paper clip. So just so you realize what I'm doing here, I'm just taking like squares, this is roughly a square, and I'm just going to cut one for the front and one for the back, because I know I'm going to put something else on the top. But again, if you're not planning to put like a tab on the top or something, you do want to again do like a folded piece of paper where there's a fold on the top, and that just covers up that exposed part of the paper clip. So it's almost like 2 layers of paper. Like you could do 2 layers of folded paper, but then in a paper clip sandwiched in between. So on the paper clip part, I did tape that down with like packing tape. And I'm trying to use a piece of tape that is big enough to make sure that the paper clip is secured, but that it's small enough that I have like paper exposed so I can glue paper onto paper. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm just going to glue this square onto the top of this. And I guess I'm just trimming it down a little, and I might ink around it. But those sides and the bottom, you know, you glue the whole thing on here, but you need to make sure that the inner piece of paper doesn't somehow get glued shut, because those 3 sides need to stay open so that it can slide on top of a piece of, you know, like use as a paper clip on a piece of paper. So I'm just picking like a foliage type section of this digital, and then you can see that outside there is paper, the inside is packing tape. So I'm just going to make sure I glue that whole thing and hope that it all, you know, stays put together. And you could probably leave off that packing tape step, or, you know, use a different kind of tape, whatever. It just is possible the paper clip could move around, so just so you realize that that is possible that would happen. But it might not, because if you're gluing all around it, it might be okay. So here I'm just inking the edge, and then so I have the front looking good and the back still has an exposed paper clip here, so I got to cover that side as well. So just choosing another part of the digital and just cutting, you know, something that would go well with it. And as I said, in this case, I'm going to be adding tabs to it. So these are really, for me, tabs that I'm going to put in my journal. And I do like to do that for different journals. Like in this case, this is a garden journal. So I will have like a page that has like things to buy. Because that's one thing I always do, is like, what do I need to get? Do I need to get mulch, or, you know, buy new pruners or whatever? But I try to keep that all on one page. And then when I know I'm going somewhere, then I can just grab that, and I know I have everything in one place. Because otherwise I tend to, you know, have things all over the place. That's like, I'll have post-it notes everywhere. But if I know I have a list going, and that way also when I get stuff, I can cross certain things off, and I know there's certain things left. It just helps me to stay organized a little bit better, and to save me trips to the store and save me some time. And then also I'll do that for, like, let's say, you know, I have a list of things to do when I get my chainsaw out. So I will like know all the different things that I need to do. Because, you know, I'm not really getting my chainsaw out every day. But then when I do, then I know, okay, I've got like 4 or 5 different things I need to make sure that I get cut up or whatever. And then, again, that just saves me time. So that's why it's helpful for me to have like tabs in my different journals, so that it's like an organization thing for me, where I know I can kind of do, like, write everything down that's in my brain, and then I know I'll be able to find it again. So just putting again more foliage on this, since we've got a lot of flowers going in other areas. I think it's kind of nice to just have the foliage on this tab. But like sometimes in my journal, like if let's say I have like, I always have this in my journals, like to buy, like I'll have, Target and then a list, and then the dollar store and a list. And then when I have everything, when I get everything, then I can even just cover that up, like glue another piece of paper over top of it and start a different list. So that is one way that I kind of organize my thoughts, because, I may not go to Target, very often, but I have a list going so that when I go, I can just grab it and go. I don't have to sit and think about it. I think that's a mom thing, where I always have all different irons in the fire. So I'm just going to add this tab, and honestly, I don't know if they're like the exact same size, the tab and the paperclip, but I think that's just happenstance. I don't think I planned that. But if you have a tab, I guess you could go back and make sure it's the right size if you want it to match your hidden paperclip. And I've done some hidden paper clips where it's like an actual large tag, and then I just added a paper clip to the back, and I really like that. Like, the larger these hidden paper clips are, the better. I think they're really nice. The only thing is, then it will cover up, like if you have a page going, it's going to cover up part of that page. So the other good thing about tabs is you can do it on the top or the side, and sometimes it's fun to do both. I really like journals. Sometimes I see people doing journals where they have it's a smaller journal, but then it has tabs all the way around. I always stop and watch a video like that because I always think they look so nice with tabs on there. And then it's great to have these hidden paperclip tabs, because then they're not permanent. And like, for me, sometimes I'm adding extra pages in my journal and things like that, so that way I can just kind of reorganize it and put the tabs in a new place. So here again, I'm just taking like a foliage area from this digital, just for something different, since we've been doing flowers so far. I thought that would be nice, because if you're moving it around, it doesn't, have a completely different color flower or whatever. It more fits in with what you're doing. So we're just gluing this on that second hidden paper clip. It's nice to make these like nice on both sides, because that way you can use either side of this hidden paper clip. You can turn it around and it looks nice either way. So now we're inking this paper, and then I'm going to add a little bit of gold paint to this one as well, just to kind of keep that uniform. So we've added a lot of this gold paint throughout, and I do have a lot of other colors of metallic paint, so I really want to try this with like platinum colored paint on a different journal and just see how that looks, because I really feel like that is going to look just really, really nice, like a super dark gray metallic paint. And I feel like, I have, like I said, I have greens, I have blues, I have like all different metallic colors, but obviously some colors are going to look a lot more natural than others. But I feel like I'm sure I could figure out a way to use all those different colors. Like if I could use like a metallic purple on this. I think that would look pretty neat with all these purple accents in this journal. But seeing this journal in person with all this gold accent around everything, it's really pretty. I really like this journal a lot. And I do think it's worth taking the time to add these little elements. And you know, you could probably have an assembly line going if you want to make a lot of these hidden paper clips. And I think I might do that one day, is just have all different scraps going, and then I can set up a whole bunch of them at once. In fact, I think I watched a video where somebody had like a 12-inch long strip, and then they just did paperclip after paperclip and like cut them up in between. And I do think that's kind of a neat idea, especially if you're doing them all for like one journal, like one set of digitals or something. Then you can make sure that they all coordinate with each other. That would be nice for a Christmas journal too. So I was just looking at one of my ephemera packs that I've gotten from the Junk Journal Studio, and I bought the ephemera pack. It's like Junk Journal ephemera set number 2, and that has a lot of different things on it, but one thing that's in there is like playing cards, and that would also make a cute set of these hidden paper clips to be able to do something like that. So I kind of like the front of the cards rather than the number part of the card, but I think that would make a really nice set of these hidden paper clips. And then all different kinds of ephemera I think would be cute too. And then also it'd be easy to make like tags if you have like a page of tags, to make those into these hidden paper clips as well. So just some different ideas of things that are about this size that I think would work really well. So you can see fitting them on, you just kind of have to fit the, kind of ease them onto the paper. So a little bit harder than a regular paper clip, just because you have all the extra paper on there. But once they're on there, they're really nice and they hold pretty well. And then again, they're easy to move around. And I don't know who originally came up with this idea. I definitely know it was not my idea to put tape on them. I know it was another junk journaler on YouTube. I think it was her idea to put like packing tape on it, and I'm not sure who that person is. Sometimes it's hard when you're watching a video to know like who originated the idea, but somebody obviously pretty clever figured this out, and it's very practical and useful. So I use a lot of paper clips in my journal. Like I had gotten all the original packs of paper clips from Prima that are like metal, and then they have like enameled, almost like enameled little ephemera on them. And I use those a lot in my journals as well, but they do pop out easier than these hidden paper clips do. These are more, they stay put better. So that is kind of nice, but I definitely use both. But I love those Prima paper clips. That's when I first started junk journaling. They came out with those, and I don't know if those are still available anywhere, but they're metal, and they're heavier than a normal paper clip, and then they have like an embossed circle on them, and they might have come out with like flowers and things like that too. But I really like getting paper clips for all different journals because, again, for me it's like a placeholder in a journal. So if I have like a goals page or something like that, I'll put like the fancier paper clips in there, and that way I kind of know, like when I go to my planner, there's about like 4 different paper clips, so I know that one is my goals page and just different things, and then one would be the current day's page. So just a way to quickly be flipping around in a journal. So I do think that's pretty fun. And I also got the poof ball kind of paper clips. I found those ones at Joann's, even though that's not really my style at all. But I do think those are really cute too, like a little pom-pom kind of paper clip. So I don't know, I think that's one of the fun things about junk journaling. So here I'm adding paint to the edges of this. And I'm just going to go ahead and dry this. So you see the same process going on for all different things, but it does I'll make everything match each other, which I think is nice. But these paper clips, that the kind that we're making, they're so durable. It's like I've had them in journals, and then I just pull them out and reuse them, and they really hold up for a long time. So I think it's well worth putting time into making them, because they're not like something flimsy that's going to fall apart, that you can use them from journal to journal. And other people I've seen put eyelets in them and hang like dangles and charms from them and different things, and I do think that's a really cute idea as well. One thing that I really want to do, I like making things with, like, I call them the shrinky dinks. That's what we used to call them when I was a kid. But like the shrink, I guess it's called now shrink plastic. But I do really like making those types of dangles. Like the last time I made one with a picture of my cat, you can probably hear snoring in the background. But I sketched out a picture of my cat and colored it all in with Sharpies, and then shrunk it down and use that for dangles. I just think it's so cute. So I do think that idea is really cute as well. And that's also something, you know, the outside of this journal has like the binding thread, which is like a bow. So I can always make dangles and then be adding that to those outside areas. And that would be cute to have it hang on the outside of a journal, and then also have some dangles hanging from these tabs. Although I do think it's easier when the tab is to the side of a page rather than the top of the page. That could interfere a little bit with closing the journal. So, but nice way to add jewels or something personal. Or even like, I like adding a lot of little flowers. A lot of times I can find like flower beads, or I would say like dangles, like flowers that are on jump rings, where you can just like add them to different things. I've found a lot of those in the past, like in the Michaels bins. You know how near the checkout they'll have, I wouldn't call them dollar bins because they're usually more than $1, but those bins, they usually have a lot of little like metal flower dangles, or they'll have paper clips, or just different things in there that I really like, and I think they're nice. So here I'm just taking scraps of paper and then just like folding them in half and just making it into a tab. So you can really take almost anything, even like the book page, and just cut a little, like cut a larger rectangle, and then you can fold it in half, and then you can use that for a tab. And you could also do that with the coffee dyed paper as well. And then here I'm just again inking the edge of this, but you can also play with that shape. So it doesn't have to be square. You can make it into other shapes. You could use your punches to change, like you could round the corners on it or make special shapes on it. Like I know I have a lot of the Martha Stewart punches where you can punch corners, or you can do like an edge punch, but you can also do that for tabs as well. And then I'm just adding this to this flower. So I'm just changing the shape a little bit to make sure that it fits the flower, and also maybe want to show a little bit more of the flowers, so just cut some of those corners off. But I have to put a tab here because you can see that paper clip, the top of it sticking out, so I do have to stick with my plan and put a tab on this. But it would be nice to leave that flower completely visible. So I love this coffee dyed page in the middle of this journal. I don't know how that piece is so different than all the other pieces, but I do really like it. So you can see how this one is kind of sticking up a little bit, and that's because of that vinyl coating on the paper clip. It makes it bulkier, and so it doesn't lie as flat. So it's nothing too bad or anything, but you know, I don't think I'm ever gonna run out of the paper clips I already have, because I probably bought them at Sam's Club and have like thousands of them or something. But you know, they're good, so I'm gonna keep using them. But I do think these turned out really well. I feel like everything I do with this digital kit just turns out really cute. So get this all dried up, and I don't think I had any issues with like paint. You know how sometimes paint can be almost like a glue? So since I'm putting so much paint around the edges, I want to make sure that I don't get those open sides glued together on accident. But I don't think that happens at all. It's just, but maybe something to think about. So we are finished with this part of the journal, and I'm going to show you here how the tabs look when this is closed. I think it's really pretty. We've done a tuck spot and these hidden paper clips and a tag. And I just love how these journals tie together. I think it's so pretty and it's so functional. I really like that. So this is a design that I'll make over and over again for all different things, and it's kind of fun because then I can get different digital kits and just match those to, you know, whatever closure I'm using. But it gives me a way to use up all these digital kits that I like so much, and you know, can be for different seasons or a different focus. So you can make like a coffee dyed, almost like a base journal, and then you can just add elements on top of that, whatever kit that you have or different elements that you have that you want to use. It's a nice way to have like a blank journal, and then you can start adding all your creative elements to it. Really happy with how this all turned out, and I'm really grateful that you're watching this with me and really appreciate it. Hopefully you try one of these as well. So thank you so much.